អន្តរជាតិផងដែរជាមួយនេះគ្នានេះអាដាមប្រធានាធិបតីបានបង្ហាញជំនឿជឿជាក់យ៉ាងមុតមមថាក្រោមការដឹកនាំប្រកបដោយចក្ខុវិស័យវែងឆ្ងាយរបស់សម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតប្រធានាធិបតីជឿជាក់ថាទំនាក់ទំនងទ្វេភាគីរវាងតាជីគីស្ថាននិងកម្ពុជានឹងកាន់តែត្រូវបានពូនជ្រុំបន្ថែមទៀតដើម្បីជាឧត្តមប្រយោជន៍ដល់ប្រជាជននៃប្រទេសទាំងពីរជាការឆ្លើយតបសម្ដេចបវរធិបតីបានថ្លែងថាជំនួបទ្វេភាគីនេះជាឱកាសសម្រាប់ការស្វែងរកកាលានុវត្តភាពនៃកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការលើវិស័យសំខាន់ៗរវាងប្រទេសទាំងពីរទន្ទឹមនឹងនោះជាមួយនឹងការពំនាំនៃការផ្ដាំផ្ញើសួរសុខទុក្ខរបស់សម្ដេចតេជោហ៊ុនសែនប្រធានព្រឹទ្ធសភាជូនចំពោះអាដាមប្រធានាធិបតីហើយសម្ដេចបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតក៏បានគូសបញ្ជាក់ពីការបដិញ្ញាបន្តពង្រឹងនិងពង្រីកទំនាក់ទំនងនៃប្រទេសទាំងពីរត្បិតនៅមានសក្តានុពលជាច្រើនដែលអាចពង្រីកកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការជាមួយគ្នាបាទហើយសម្ដេចធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតនិងអាដាមប្រធានាធិបតីក៏បានពិភាក្សាអំពីការបន្តពង្រឹងនិងពង្រីកកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការលើវិស័យសំខាន់មួយចំនួនដូចជាធម្មពលស្អាតកសិកម្មនិងវិស័យអប់រំជាដើមនឹងបានអញ្ជើញបំពេញទស្សនកិច្ចផ្លូវការទៅវិញទៅមកនាពេលវេលាសមស្របខាងមុខនេះព្រមទាំងបានប្រកល់ភារកិច្ចដល់រដ្ឋមន្ត្រីការបរទេសនៃប្រទេសទាំងពីរបន្តផ្សារភ្ជាប់ទំនាក់ទំនងឲ្យកាន់តែជិតស្និទ្ធក្នុងការស្វែងរកកាលានុវត្តភាពនៃកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការក៏ដូចជាការសម្របសម្រួលដំណើរទស្សនកិច្ចរបស់ថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំនៃប្រទេសទាំងពីរបាទអញ្ចឹងគឺនៅពេលដែលសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតអញ្ជើញទៅដល់ទីក្រុងនេះនៃប្រទេសបារាំងភ្លាមកាលពីព្រឹកមិញប្រមាណជាម៉ោង5ជាងម៉ោងនៅប្រទេសបារាំងនោះគឺសម្ដេចក៏មិនបង្អង់ដៃដែរគឺមានការជួបពិភាក្សាទ្វេភាគីរវាងប្រធានាធិបតីនៃប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថានជាមួយនឹងសម្ដេចធិបតីផ្ទាល់ដើម្បីពិភាក្សាដោះដូរយោបល់គ្នាក៏ដូចជាការស្វែងរកនៅឱកាសល្អៗក្នុងការវិនិយោគរវាងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាជាមួយនឹងប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថានហើយសូមបញ្ជាក់ជូនផងដែរថារវាងសម្ដេចធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតជាមួយនឹងប្រធានាធិបតីនៃប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថាននេះគឺជាជំនួបមួយដ៏ល្អមែនទែនដើម្បីធ្វើយ៉ាងណាទាក់ទាញនៅការវិនិយោគពីប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថានមកកាន់ប្រទេសកម្ពុជារបស់យើងបន្ថែមទៀតទោះបីជាដោយដែលលោកអ្នកបានដឹងថាទោះបីជាប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថានមិនសូវជាមានការវិនិយោគច្រើនមកដល់ប្រទេសកម្ពុជាក៏ប៉ុន្តែទោះបីជាយ៉ាងណាក៏ដោយយើងក៏នៅតែមានឱកាសក្នុងការអ្នកទាញវិនិយោគិនពីប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថានដោយសារតែប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថាននោះគឺជាប្រទេសមួយដែលមានអញ្ញបានថាវិស័យដ៏សំខាន់របស់ប្រទេសនោះគឺជាវិស័យធម្មពលស្អាតដែលជាវិស័យមួយដ៏សំខាន់មែនទែនដែលពិភពលោកនៅក្នុងពេលបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះកំពុងតែត្រូវការជាចាំបាច់ដើម្បីយកមកអភិវឌ្ឍទៅលើបច្ចេកវិទ្យាសម័យទំនើបជាពិសេសនោះគឺនៅក្នុងអំឡុងពេល digital នេះតែម្ដងដោយសារតែនៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ2025នេះអ្វីដែលយើងគិតគូរទៅលើមែនទែននោះគឺបច្ចេកវិទ្យាគឺបានដើរតួនាទីយ៉ាងសំខាន់ក្នុងការជំរុញទៅដល់វិស័យជាច្រើននៅលើប្រទេសកម្ពុជាក៏ដូចជាបណ្ដាប្រទេសជាច្រើននៅលើពិភពលោកឲ្យមានការរីកចម្រើនទៅមុខជាបន្តផងដែរបាទទស្សនិកជនជាទីគោរពបន្ទាប់ពីមានកិច្ចពិភាក្សាទ្វេភាគីរវាងប្រធានាធិបតីនៃប្រទេសតាជីគីស្ថានជាមួយនឹងនាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីនៃប្រទេសជាតិកម្ពុជារបស់យើងគឺសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតវិញមកគឺសម្ដេចក៏បានមានការចាប់អារម្មណ៍ខ្លាំងរវាងទំនាក់ទំនងរវាងនឹងកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការបន្ថែមទៀតជាមួយនឹងសហភាពអឺរ៉ុបហើយសម្ដេចក៏បានបង្ហាញនៅចំណាប់អារម្មណ៍ខ្លាំងមែនទែនចំពោះការទៅចូលរួមនៅក្នុងកិច្ចប្រជុំក៏ដូចជាសន្និសីទរបស់អង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិនៅក្នុងពេលនេះផងដែរបាទហើយនៅក្នុងថ្ងៃទី9ព្រឹកមិញនេះផងដែរគឺសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតនាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីនៃប្រទេសជាតិកម្ពុជាក៏បានបន្តជួបពិភាក្សាទ្វេភាគីជាមួយនឹងអាដាមAntonio Costa ដែលជាប្រធានក្រុមប្រឹក្សាអឺរ៉ុបនៅក្នុងឱកាសអញ្ជើញចូលរួមសន្និសីទលើកទី3របស់អង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិស្តីពីមហាសមុទ្របាទហើយកិច្ចប្រជុំពិភាក្សានេះគឺជាឱកាសមួយដ៏ប្រសើរមែនទែនហើយអាដាមប្រធានក្រុមប្រឹក្សាអឺរ៉ុបក៏បានសម្ដែងនៅក្តីសោមនស្សដែលបានជួបពិភាក្សាការងារជាមួយនឹងសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីព្រមទាំងបានលើកឡើងអំពីទំនាក់ទំនងដ៏ល្អរវាងសហភាពអឺរ៉ុបនិងសមាគមប្រជាជាតិអាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍ហៅកាត់ថាអាស៊ាននិងកិច្ចសហការដែលកំពុងតែបន្តជាមួយបណ្ដាប្រទេសជាសមាជិករួមទាំងកម្ពុជាផងដែរ ជាមួយគ្នានោះអាដាមក៏បានវិតម្លៃខ្ពស់ចំពោះកិច្ចកាត់ខំប្រឹងប្រែងរបស់កម្ពុជាលើការងារកសាងក្របខ័ណ្ឌគតិយុត្តជាពិសេសគឺការជំរុញការអនុម័តច្បាប់ស្តីពីជលផលនាពេលថ្មីៗកន្លងទៅនេះអាដាមប្រធានក្រុមប្រឹក្សាអឺរ៉ុបក៏បានបង្ហាញនូវចំណាប់អារម្មណ៍យ៉ាងខ្លាំងក្នុងការបន្តពង្រីកទំនាក់ទំនងនិងកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការបន្ថែមទៀតជាមួយនឹងកម្ពុជាព្រមទាំងបានវិតម្លៃអំពីកិច្ចកាត់ខំប្រឹងប្រែងរបស់កម្ពុជាជាការឆ្លើយតបសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីបានថ្លែងអំណរគុណដល់សហភាពអឺរ៉ុបដែលបានរួមចំណែកដល់ការអភិវឌ្ឍសង្គមសេដ្ឋកិច្ចនៅកម្ពុជានៅពេលកន្លងមកតាមរយៈការអនុវត្តគម្រោងរួមគ្នារវាងកម្ពុជានិងសហភាពអឺរ៉ុបតាមរយៈកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការដ៏ល្អនេះសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីសង្ឃឹមយ៉ាងមុតមាំថាសហភាពអឺរ៉ុបនៅតែបន្តធ្វើជាដៃគូដ៏ល្អជាមួយនឹងកម្ពុជាសម្រាប់នាពេលអនាគតកាលជាពិសេសក្រោយពេលកម្ពុជាចាកចេញពីឋានៈនៃក្រុមប្រទេសដែលមានការអភិវឌ្ឍតិចតួចនៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ2029ឆាប់ខាងមុខនេះចំពោះការដោះស្រាយបញ្ហាប្រឈមក្នុងវិស័យជលផលកម្ពុជាបានដាក់ចេញនូវវិធានការជាក់ស្ដែងជាច្រើនដែលនៅក្នុងនោះរួមមានការជំរុញការអនុម័តច្បាប់ស្តីពីជលផលដែលបានឆ្លងរដ្ឋសភារួចហើយព្រឹទ្ធសភានឹងបន្តពិនិត្យលើសេចក្តីព្រាងច្បាប់នេះនៅក្នុងខែមិថុនានេះតែម្ដងក្រៅពីវិស័យជលផលកម្ពុជាបានបដិញ្ញាចិត្តខ្ពស់សម្ដៅជំរុញការប្រើប្រាស់ថាមពលកកើតឡើងវិញឲ្យបាន 70% នៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ2030នេះនិងសម្រេចបាននៅអព្យាក្រឹតកាបូននៅក្នុងឆ្នាំ2050ខាងមុខទោះបីជាប្រទេសកម្ពុជាពុំមែនជាប្រទេសដែលបំភាយឧស្ម័នកាបូនិកក៏ដោយសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីក៏បានគូបញ្ជាក់យ៉ាងច្បាស់ថាស្របពេលដែលពិភពលោកកំពុងជួបប្រទះនឹងភាពមិនពិតប្រាកដវិជ្ជាកម្ពុជានៅតែរក្សាជំហរប្រកាន់ខ្ជាប់នៅសេរីភាពនិងពហុភាគីនិយមហើយការប្រើប្រាស់កម្លាំងយោធាមិនមែនជាអត្ថប្រយោជន៍ក្នុងនយោបាយរបស់កម្ពុជានោះទេព្រោះកម្ពុជាដែលធ្លាប់ជាជនរងគ្រោះនៃសង្គ្រាមស៊ីវិលជាច្រើនទសវត្សរ៍នោះយល់ច្បាស់អំពីផលវិបាកនៃសង្គ្រាមជាពិសេសគ្រាប់មីននិងយុទ្ធភ័ណ្ឌមិនទាន់ផ្ទុះជាដើមមុននឹងបញ្ចប់ជំនួបអាដាមប្រធានក្រុមប្រឹក្សាអឺរ៉ុបក៏បានអញ្ជើញសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីបំពេញទស្សនកិច្ចនៅទីស្នាក់ការកណ្ដាលសហភាពអឺរ៉ុបនៅទីក្រុងប្រ៊ុយសែលដើម្បីទីក្រុងប្រ៊ុយសែលដើម្បីពិភាក្សាស្វែងរកកលានុវត្តភាពថ្មីសម្ដៅបន្តពង្រឹងនិងពង្រីកទំនាក់ទំនងនិងកិច្ចសហប្រតិបត្តិការរវាងសហភាពអឺរ៉ុបនិងកម្ពុជាហើយសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីក៏បានទទួលយកការអញ្ជើញនេះដោយគ្រោងនឹងអញ្ជើញបំពេញទស្សនកិច្ចនៅពេលវេលាសមស្របណាមួយនាពេលឆាប់ខាងមុខនេះបាទអញ្ចឹងគឺទោះបីជាមានភាពមមាញឹកយ៉ាងណាក៏ដោយក៏សម្ដេចនៅតែបន្តទទួលយកពីការអញ្ជើញរបស់អាដាមប្រធានាធិបតីក៏ដូចជាការអញ្ជើញរបស់គឺការអញ្ជើញរបស់ប្រធានសភាអឺរ៉ុបនៅឯប្រទេសប្រ៊ុយសែលនៅឯទីក្រុងប្រ៊ុយសែលគឺទោះបីជាយ៉ាងណាក៏ដោយក៏សម្ដេចនៅតែទទួលយកថានៅពេលដែលមានពេលវេលាណាសមស្របណាមួយនោះគឺនឹងទៅទស្សនកិច្ចនៅទីស្នាក់ការកណ្ដាលសហភាពអឺរ៉ុបនៅឯទីក្រុងប្រ៊ុយសែលដើម្បីពង្រីកនិងពង្រឹងចំណងទ្វេភាគីរវាងកម្ពុជារវាងអាស៊ានជាមួយនឹងបណ្ដាប្រទេសជាច្រើននៅក្នុងតំបន់អឺរ៉ុបផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងទោះបីជាយ៉ាងណាក៏ដោយក៏សម្ដេចនៅតែឆ្លៀតពន្លិចឡើងពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងបញ្ហានៃការមិនប្រើប្រាស់អាវុធនៅក្នុងពេលដែលកំពុងតែមានសង្គ្រាមនៅក្នុងបណ្ដាប្រទេសជាច្រើនជាពិសេសនោះគឺជាក់ស្ដែងនេះកាលពីពេលថ្មីកន្លងទៅនេះក៏យើងមានការប៉ះពាល់រវាងព្រំដែនរវាងកម្ពុជានិងប្រទេសថៃហើយសម្ដេចនៅតែបន្តអំពាវនាវម្ដងហើយម្ដងទៀតពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងការមិនធ្វើសង្គ្រាមឬក៏អញ្ជើញបន្ថាការលើកយកបញ្ហាមកដាក់នៅលើតុដើម្បីចរចាស្វែងរកវិធីឈ្នះទាំងអស់គ្នាដើម្បីកុំឲ្យកើតមាននៅទំនាស់កាន់តែធំធ្ងរឡើងបន្ថែមទៀតផងដែរទូរទស្សនិកជនជាទីគោរពខ្ញុំបាទក៏សូមបញ្ជាក់ជូនផងដែរថានៅក្នុងឱកាសនៃការចូលរួមនៅសន្និសីទក៏ដូចជាការថ្លែងសន្ទរកថានៅក្នុងសន្និសីទអង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិស្តីពីមហាសម្បត្តិលើកទី3នៅក្នុងប្រទេសបារាំងនេះគឺសម្ដេចក៏នឹងឡើងនៅថ្លែងនៅសន្ទរកថាពិសេសផងដែរពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងមហាសមុទ្រស្តីពីមហាសមុទ្រនៅលើកទី3នៅឯទីក្រុងនេះនៃប្រទេសបារាំងទូរទស្សនិកជនជាទីគោរពខ្ញុំបាទក៏សូមបញ្ជាក់ជូនផងដែរថាទោះបីជាសម្ដេច មហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតមមាញឹកនៅឯក្រៅប្រទេសក៏ពិតមែនក៏ប៉ុន្តែសម្ដេចនៅតែមិនដោះដៃនោះទេពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងបញ្ហានៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាដោយសម្ដេចនៅតែងតែលើកឡើងម្ដងហើយម្ដងទៀតថាសម្ដេចមិនបានដោះដៃឬក៏សម្ដេចមិនបានបន្ធូរដៃពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងបញ្ហាព្រំដែននោះទេហើយការពីពេលថ្មីកន្លងទៅនេះទៀតសោតគឺក៏មានការលើកឡើងថាមានការដកទ័ពចេញពីទឹកដីរបស់ខ្លួនតែយ៉ាងណាមិញដើម្បីជាការឆ្លើយតបនោះគឺសម្ដេចបានបញ្ជាក់ម្ដងហើយម្ដងទៀតថាគឺមិនមានការដកទ័ពចេញពីតំបន់កំពុងតែមានភាពក្តៅខ្លាំងនោះទេគឺជាការធ្វើយ៉ាងណាគឺសម្រួលគ្នារវាងប្រទេសកម្ពុជានិងប្រទេសថៃដើម្បីឈានទៅដល់ការចរចាណាមួយសំស្របដើម្បីកុំឲ្យកើតមាននៅការផ្ទុះហិង្សាកើតឡើងផងដែរបាទទស្សនិកជនជាទីគោរពនេះគឺជារូបភាពរបស់សម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតនៅក្នុងអង្គសន្និសីទរបស់អង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិនៅឯទីក្រុងនេះនៃប្រទេសបារាំងហើយនៅក្នុងឱកាសនេះក៏សម្ដេចមានវត្តមានក្នុងការដឹកនាំគណៈប្រតិភូជាន់ខ្ពស់ដើម្បីទៅចូលរួមនៅក្នុងអង្គសន្និសីទនេះផងដែរបាទនៅពេលបន្តិចទៀតនេះលោកអ្នកក៏នឹងបានទស្សនាក៏ដូចជានឹងបានស្ដាប់នៅប្រសាសន៍លើកឡើងនៃការថ្លែងសន្ទរកថាពិសេសពីប្រទេសបារាំងទីក្រុងនេះនៅក្នុងឱកាសនៃការចូលរួមសន្និសីទស្ដីពីមហាសមុទ្រលើកទី3ដែលយើងហៅកាត់ថា UNOC 3បាទសូមបញ្ជាក់ជូនផងដែរថាក្នុងអង្គសន្និសីទនេះគឺចាប់ផ្ដើមនៅក្នុងថ្ងៃនេះតែម្ដងគឺនៅថ្ងៃច័ន្ទបាទហើយនៅថ្ងៃច័ន្ទនេះគឺថ្ងៃទី9ហើយនឹងមានការបញ្ចប់នៅថ្ងៃទី12ហើយសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតនឹងអញ្ជើញមាតុភូមិនិវត្តន៍មកកាន់ប្រទេសកម្ពុជារបស់យើងវិញគឺនៅថ្ងៃទី13បាទទស្សនិកជនជាទីគោរពនៅពេលនេះគឺសូមអញ្ជើញបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាចូលរួមទស្សនានៃការលើកឡើងក៏ដូចជាការថ្លែងសន្ទរកថាពិសេសនៅក្នុងអង្គសន្និសីទអង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិស្ដីពីមហាសមុទ្រលើកទី3នៅឯប្រទេសបារាំងពីសំណាក់សម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតនាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីនៃប្រទេសជាណាចក្រកម្ពុជា
Pacific continent. As I observe the beauty of Nice, it dawns on me on how deeply and incredibly the ocean binds us, not just as islanders or coastal people, but as one global family. The ocean carries our trade, it shapes our weather and feeds our people. For Tuvalu, the ocean is the lifeblood of our economy. The ocean defines our cultures and heritage, and the ocean is our very source of existence. The UN SDG 14 demands of the global community to conserve and sustainably use of our ocean. As a leader of one of the smallest island nations, this demand is not simply an environmental objective, it is an existential necessity. However, our collective efforts to conserve and sustainably use the ocean are unfortunately being seriously challenged by the impact of climate change, a destructive phenomenon that is not of our making as a small island developing state, but one that may and will define the fate of our futures. For Tuvalu, the ocean that has sustained our livelihood for generations and defines us as a people is now seriously threatens our future existence as a state and as a people if the rate of climate change-induced sea level rise is not halted and reversed. So UNOC3 here in Nice present a defining moment for the global community to rise to the occasion and to provide the requisite prescription of political will and resource commitment to safeguard the health of the ocean. But the voyage to Nice was not plain sailing, so I wish to record Tuvalu's vote of thanks and appreciation to the leadership of Australia and Cabo Verde for marshalling support and consensus behind the political declaration that the conference will formally adopt during the course of the week. I also express my delegation's congratulations to our gracious host, the Mayor of Nice, for the magnificent hosting arrangement and the generous hospitality. I also render Tuvalu's support to the collective statement of the members of the Alliance of Small Island States, AOSIS. Mr. President, climate change and sea level rise remains Tuvalu's greatest priority, not as a top development priority, but also as a top survivability priority. So it is imperative that we cannot discuss the ocean without discussing climate change and sea level rise. Tuvalu wholeheartedly welcomed and commended the mandate to convene another one-day high-level plenary meeting at the 81st UNGA session in 2026, after the first such historical meeting in 2024. And I sincerely hope the next meeting will move beyond rhetorics and deliver on measurable, actionable outcomes driven by genuine political will. In that regard, Tuvalu calls for the development of an international treaty on sea level rise to enshrine the legal rights of affected states and people, including the principles of statehood continuity and the permanency of maritime boundary. Tuvalu strongly supports the call by the UNSG for all countries, especially the G20 countries, to deliver on the 1.5 degrees promise in order to halt the rate of sea level rise. Tuvalu also supports the initiative by like-minded countries for the development of a fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty with the ultimatum of a rapid, fair, and irreversible phase-out of fossil fuel across all sectors. President, I now share with the conference Tuvalu's national initiative to enhance our capabilities to better conserve and manage the health of the ocean. Tuvalu is currently pursuing the development of its first ever national oceans policy with the hope to have it launched at the end of this year. The policy will provide a national framework to enhance coordination of ocean-related priorities, including Tuvalu's commitment to regional and global initiatives such as the Unlocking the Blue Pacific Prosperity, the Pacific Resilience Facility, and the 100% Ocean Alliance and Ocean Accounts, to name a few. Tuvalu is pleased to announce its ratification of the BBNJ agreement, and I will personally deposit that instrument of ratification later this afternoon. The National Geographic Pristine Seas is currently conducting a marine biodiversity assessment in Tuvalu waters. The assessment will serve as a catalyst to draw in partners, funding opportunities, and help elevate Tuvalu's voice on ocean issues globally. All the data from the survey will be owned by Tuvalu. In terms of conservation areas, our archipelagic waters and territorial seas are already closed to commercial fishing, as are areas around all designated seamounts. Marine protected areas have been identified in each of the 8 outer islands to complement the Funafuti conservation area to protect up to 30% of coastal habitat. The fisheries sector in Tuvalu is the major domestic revenue earner, contributing around 4% of Tuvalu's national budget. This week, I will hand over to the FAO Director General the instrument of accession of Tuvalu to the FAO Port State Measures Agreement, signifying Tuvalu's commitment to the elimination of IUU fishing. At the last week of this month, the Parliament of Tuvalu will enact the new legislation, Fisheries Management Act for Tuvalu, which will prohibit the destructive method of bottom trawling. Tuvalu's coastal fisheries are all managed through a system of community-based management involving a local community. Tuvalu's tuna fisheries are managed through rigorous and robust regional controls on fishing efforts through the parties to the Nauru Agreement Vessel Day Scheme that include 100% observer coverage of per-se vessels. The regional tuna fisheries conservation and management measure in the Western and Central Pacific Ocean were assessed the most effective, so that the WCPFC Ocean is the only ocean region where the 4 commercial tropical tuna species are scientifically assessed to be managed sustainably. Despite the success of tuna management in the Western and Central Pacific Ocean, there remains increasing concern by the lack of control of fishing efforts in the adjacent high seas. The same concern is also shared concerning the poorly regulated long-line fleets operating in the Western and Central Pacific Ocean with minimal controls and monitoring of their activity. Tuvalu calls on the flag states of these fleets to institute stronger monitoring, control, and surveillance of their fleet. Mr. President, in our collective endeavor to find solutions to accelerate access to ensure and guarantee the health of our ocean, it is imperative to forge strategic and smart partnership and to readily access the much-needed financing. For Tuvalu, building the resilience and adaptability of our coastlines against the impact of sea level rise is our top adaptation program. And the Tuvalu Coastal Adaptation Program is our national flagship adaptation project that will persist well into the future and will require substantial financial support. So I take this opportunity to thank all our development partners, states and organizations for their support towards the Tuvalu Coastal Adaptation Project. But Tuvalu shares the frustrations of other SITs on the current architecture for international climate financing. They remain fragmented and insufficient to meet the escalating needs of vulnerable community. Scaling up innovative instruments, including rapid response grants through the CCAF, Climate Resilience Insurance Scheme, and public-private partnership is essential. Expanding early warning systems and nature-based solutions at the community level through localized financing, particularly in SITs and LDCs, is critical. Knowledge sharing and capacity building, combined with localized financing, will further empower frontline community to anticipate, withstand, and adapt to future risks. Accessibility to finance remains a major concern, and Tuvalu subscribes to the call for a major overhaul of the global financing system to deliver direct, predictable, and fast-tracked concessional finance to those most in need. President, in closing, I acknowledge and express my profound gratitude to all partners who enabled and supported Tuvalu's participation in this conference in Nice. And as we set sail from the coastal city of Nice, let us remember the words of the famous French sailor Bernard Baudelaire, who said, "A sailor's joys are as simple as a child's." So let us approach our task with the same simplicity and purity of heart, seeking to protect the ocean for all who comes after us. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank His Excellency, Prime Minister of Tuvalu, for the statement. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency Jeremiah Manale, Prime Minister of Solomon Islands, to address the conference. Excellency, you have the floor, please.
Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I bring warm greetings from the Solomon Islands. Allow me to congratulate France and Costa Rica as co-chairs of the third UN Ocean Conference under the theme Accelerating Action and Mobilizing All Actors to Conserve and Sustainably Use the Ocean. As a big ocean state, Solomon Islands' culture, identity, and heritage is tightly linked to the ocean. Our future, stability, and well-being rest on the health of the ocean. Today, the ocean is confronted by three planetary crises: loss of biodiversity, pollution, and climate change. Despite these, some are pursuing deep-sea mining with minimal regard for scientific understanding, environmental risks, and global consensus. Mr. President, SDG 14 is off track and underfunded. We must move beyond rhetoric to concrete actions that matches the scale and urgency to address today's crisis. This includes mobilizing finances, technology, science, and capacity building, particularly for small island developing states. We must also reform our global ocean governance architecture and shift from harmful exploitation to sustainable use of the ocean. Mr. President, the Honduras Summit on SDG 14.4 this year called for stronger compliance by fishing nations, support for science-based precautionary fisheries management approaches, and adaptation to climate change. The Pacific has the largest and healthiest tuna stocks in the world, supplying 60% of global catch. However, we must continue to combat IUU fishing to sustainably manage our fish stocks. Marine pollution, including oil spills and plastics, are accelerating marine degradation. We call for the finalization of a legally binding plastic treaty and support for the polluter-producer-pay principle. Financial support is needed to address the legacy pollution from World War II wrecks and unexploded ordnance. Mr. President, Solomon Islands is working to deposit all our maritime boundaries with relevant UN bodies. This is to preserve our territorial sovereignty in the face of climate change. We recognize the importance of science in sound decision-making, including supporting the submission of our continental self-claims. Only 10% of our exclusive economic zone is being surveyed. Mr. President, in line with the theme of this gathering, first, we must bring the BBNJ agreement into force. Solomon Islands will deposit its instrument of ratification on the agreement this week. We urge all to do likewise. Secondly, I am pleased to announce the Melanesian Ocean Reserve Initiative. This is an indigenous-led partnership in discussion with Papua New Guinea and Vanuatu that will cover 6 million square kilometers of ocean. We appeal for global support in finance and technical partnerships. Thirdly, we have placed a moratorium on deep-sea prospecting and mining, in line with the Melanesian Spearhead Group position. Fourth, we continue to invest in our 2022 voluntary commitments. These include progressing indigenous marine conservation initiatives. Two of our provinces, Temotu and Makira, have registered their interest for marine protected area declaration. And fifth, the scientific discovery of the world's largest standalone coral, Pavona clavis, in Solomon Islands last year highlights our rich marine biodiversity. We reaffirm our commitment for the protection of blue ecosystems, such as coral reefs, seagrass, and mangroves. Mr. President, in closing, Solomon Islands support the Nice political declaration that calls for bold and accelerated action. We must deepen our commitment to multilateralism on SDG 14. The urgency to do so cannot wait. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Solomon Islands, for the statement. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency Mark Brown, Prime Minister of the Cook Islands, to address the conference. Excellency, you have the floor, please.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Kia ora, and a warm Pacific greetings to you all. As a proud, large ocean state, the Cook Islands brings a clear message. Let those who call the ocean home be trusted to lead its protection. The ocean is not what separates our islands. It is what connects, defines, and sustains us. It is our lifeblood. It feeds us. It is our highway, and it is our sacred duty. Safeguarding its biodiversity and ecosystems demands that we scale up science-based and innovative action for sustainable use and conservation. This year, the Cook Islands proudly marks 60 years of self-governance, 6 decades of acting in the best interests of our people and our ocean. In that time, we have shown what is possible, both as a nation and as part of a global community. In 2017, we established our Marae Moana, the world's first whole-of-EEZ multi-use marine park, nearly 2 million square kilometers, governed not by symbolic lines, but by an inclusive legal framework and a council of government, traditional leaders, civil society, and industry. As we say in our language, ko te akatereanga I te moana, ngā te au tangata o te pae moana. The governance of the ocean belongs to the people of the ocean. Our ancestors crossed the Pacific through traditional voyaging. That legacy endures in our approach to ocean governance, ancestral and modern, customary and constitutional. As such, today, within our Marae Moana, we wish to take another step forward in the creation of the Pacific's first Rāui To'ora, a dynamic ocean protection zone for whales. For the first time, we can apply our traditional Rāui practice at ocean scale to protect the migratory corridors of the endangered Oceania humpback whale. Spanning over 400,000 square kilometers, this corridor will adapt with the seasons and respond to emerging threats. Its purpose is not only conservation, it is recovery. The Rāui To'ora reflects a growing global truth that traditional knowledge and science can work together to shape powerful solutions. With regional cooperation, this could become the foundation of the Pacific's first transboundary whale corridor. To support this, the Cook Islands are progressing our Pacific Regional Initiative for the establishment of a Centre of Excellence on Ocean Science, to be called the Institute of Blue Ocean Sustainability and Science, a regional initiative to advance ocean governance, foster applied research, and strengthen partnerships across government, academia, industry, and traditional leadership. Knowledge and understanding of our ocean through scientific methods, coupled with traditional values, will allow us to not only protect our ocean, but also allow our ocean to nurture us and ensure its sustainability for future generations. These are not radical ideas, they are overdue. This is sovereignty matched with stewardship, overlaid with sustainability. And sovereignty does not mean isolation. In the Pacific, regionalism is our strength. Through the 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent, we are advancing joint enforcement, shared monitoring, and coordinated legal frameworks. We have chaired regional bodies, hosted key negotiations, and ratified ocean agreements that show the Pacific's ability to lead. The Pacific is not asking for leadership. We are offering it. Today, we reaffirm our call for an international ocean governance system that is fit for purpose, one that recognizes coastal states as custodians of their waters, uplifts all knowledge systems, and ensures finance flows to those doing the work on the front lines. For the Cook Islands, SDG 14 is not just a global commitment, it is a national imperative. The conservation and sustainable use of our ocean defines our development, our resilience, and our identity. Protecting marine biodiversity and ecosystem services is essential, not only for us, but for the planet. Delegates, Excellencies, the world does not lack ideas, it lacks implementation. And implementation requires political will, community trust, and sustained investment. So I leave you with this. Respect those who govern their ocean with integrity. Recognize the sovereign authority of states who steward more ocean than land. Rally behind frontline ocean governance, not as charity, but as equal partners in purpose. The Cook Islands is ready. Tūrau ki te moana, ka rire e. Kia manuia, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister Brown. I now have the honor to call on our next speaker, His Excellency Hun Manet, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. At the outset, I would like to commend our co-chairs, France and Costa Rica, for convening this significant forum. My appreciation also goes to the government and people of France for the gracious hospitality. For Cambodia, as I address the third United Nations Ocean Conference, it is both an honor and a responsibility. The world is at an inflection point. Humanity is faced with a historic choice: continue neglecting the oceans or finally unite in action to protect it. The oceans is our shared treasure, the blue heart of our planet. It is a source of food, energy, and water, providing livelihoods and economic benefits to every nation. It regulates climate and generates oxygen we breathe. It is fundamental to our planet's rich biodiversity. The ocean is vital to the well-being and prosperity of generations to come. As a responsible member of the global community, Cambodia is deeply concerned by the escalating threats to the world's oceans: rising sea levels, relentless erosion of coastlines, and pervasive plastic pollutions, a rapid decline in maritime biodiversity, and the overexploitation of our marine resources. These challenges demand immediate and decisive actions, as well as unwavering collaborations. The time to act is now. Cambodia is dedicated to enhancing its national capacities in ocean protections. Cambodia has expanded its marine protected areas, strengthen regulations on sustainable fisheries management, and enhance national initiative to combat marine pollution. Cambodia's circular strategy on environment 2023-2028 focuses on three fundamental pillars: clean, green, and sustainable, significantly contributing to the health of our marine ecosystems and its long-term protection. Within the UN framework, Cambodia is fully committed to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 14. In addition, Cambodia has consistently voted in favor of the resolution on the oceans and the law of the sea, which garnered overwhelming support from 152 countries during UNGA 79. These efforts reflect our deep understanding that protecting life on land is inseparable from preserving life beneath the oceans. Cambodia reaffirms its strong commitment to become a party to the BBNJ agreement adopted on 19 June 2023. Today, I'm proud to announce Cambodia will take the next step in formalizing its commitment by signing this BBNJ agreement. We urge transparency in the sharing of monetary and non-monetary benefits in the process of implementing the BBNJ agreement. We also call upon the international community to provide essential technical, financial support to developing nations to build capacity for marine conservation and sustainable resource management. This includes ensuring access to scientific knowledge, technology, and funding, particularly for marine research, monitoring and establishment of robust sustainable fishery management practices. We must ensure that no nation is left behind in our collective effort to protect our oceans. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the ocean has no voice. It relies on us. What we do today will determine whether the ocean can still feed and protect us tomorrow, or become the vast, silent shipwreck of our inactions. Cambodia is ready to act, to cooperate, to protect. Cambodia calls for bold, united, and resolute action for the ocean, for our people, and for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister Hun Manet. The next speaker will be His Excellency Robert Boger Mambe, the Prime Minister, the Head of Government, the Minister of Sports and the Living Environment of the...
Chaque année, la collaboration internationale en connexion le secteur
អង្គសន្និសីទអង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិស្ដីពីមហាសមុទ្រលើកទី3នៅក្នុងប្រទេសបារាំងដែលសម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតគឺបានលើកឡើងឲ្យថាកម្ពុជារបស់យើងគឺតែងតែធ្វើការព្យាយាមក្នុងការការពារនៅសមុទ្រដើម្បីធ្វើយ៉ាងម៉េចគឺមិនឲ្យមានការបំពុលទៅលើបរិស្ថានម្ដងហើយម្ដងទៀតជាពិសេសនោះគឺកម្ពុជានៅតែធ្វើយ៉ាងណាគឺឲ្យសមុទ្ររបស់យើងគឺមានភាពស្រស់ល្អស្រស់ស្អាតបំផុតជាទីបំផុតនៅក្នុងដែលជាប់នៅក្នុងប្រទេសមួយដែលមានឆ្នេរសមុទ្រស្រស់ស្អាតហើយគឺមានទឹកសមុទ្រដ៏ស្រស់ស្អាតបន្ថែមទៀតហើយកម្ពុជានោះក៏បានចុះកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងជាច្រើនពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងការចូលរួមគ្នាក្នុងការការពារបរិស្ថានជាពិសេសនោះគឺនៅក្នុងតំបន់សមុទ្រផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងហើយដោយដែលលោកអ្នកបានដឹងថានៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជារបស់យើងនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជារបស់យើងគឺមានខេត្តសមុទ្រនោះគឺចំនួន4គឺខេត្តកោះកុងខេត្តព្រះសីហនុខេត្តកំពតនិងខេត្តកែបហើយសុទ្ធតែជាខេត្តដែលមានសក្តានុពលហើយជាពិសេសនោះគឺជាខេត្តដែលមានឆ្នេរសមុទ្រនិងទឹកសមុទ្រដ៏ស្រស់ស្អាតហើយកម្ពុជាបដិញ្ញាចិត្តថានឹងធ្វើយ៉ាងណាដើម្បីការពារធនធានដែលមាននៅក្នុងសមុទ្រប្រទេសកម្ពុជារបស់យើងឲ្យកាន់តែមានភាពល្អប្រសើរឡើងហើយនឹងចូលរួមលំបាត់ការបំពុលទៅលើសមុទ្រផងដែរបាទទូរទស្សនិកជនជាទីគោរពការផ្សាយផ្ទាល់នៃកម្មវិធីនៃការថ្លែងសន្ទរកថារបស់សម្ដេចមហាបវរធិបតីហ៊ុនម៉ាណែតពីប្រទេសបារាំងតាំងពីវេលាម៉ោងប្រមាណជា 9:10 រហូតដល់ពេលនេះក៏យើងឈានមកដល់នៃការបញ្ចប់ហើយគោរពជូនពរបងប្អូនទូរទស្សនិកជនដែលកំពុងតែតាមដានទស្សនាតាំងពីដើមរហូតមកដល់ចប់គឺជួបប្រទះតែសេចក្តីសុខនិងសេចក្តីចម្រើនហើយកុំភ្លេចចូលរួមក្នុងការគោរពច្បាប់ចរាចរណ៍និងចូលរួមក្នុងការគោរពនៅនីតិវិធី3កុំ3ការពារដើម្បីកុំឲ្យកើតមាននៅជំងឺ COVID-19 នៅពេលនេះក្រុមការងាររួមជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំបាទសូមអរគុណនិងសូមគោរពលា